We are streaming. My ring light situated. Okay. It's Tuesday, May 7th, 2019. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, are you playing to win or are you playing to just play it? All right. I got my opening bit, so I'll just get right into it. So yesterday I was playing some Beat Saber in VR. That game is crazy fun.
That's that VR rhythm game, right?
Yep. The only weird thing about
I guess
it...
what do? You just like swing the VR sticks to the rhythm?
Yeah, you basically have two lightsabers, and blocks will have arrows on them, and they'll be red or blue. Got to hit the red ones in the direction of the arrow with your left hand, and the blue ones in the direction of the arrow with the right hand, and they match music.
Do they put blue ones on the left and...
Sometimes they'll swap and move around, and big walls will appear that you got to dodge with your whole body.
So you just got to be like...
Yep, and you're like stepping around. You got to move. You got to move quite a bit. It's actually very.
So you're swinging virtual sticks to the beat.
Yeah, but what's weird about it is it's super fun, but it feels wrong if you've ever actually fenced because holding two swords like this.
I
is
think
not
the
how you fight with
swords
the sword.
are just a metaphor. It's move your hands to the rhythm.
Yeah, it
right?
is. You gotta train yourself into not thinking of them as swords. But it has a mode, you know, DDR has all the, because it's the songs are well crafted, like in good DDR. Like the arrows feel right. And they do clever stuff, like there'll be arrows in a pattern. If you recognize the
Doesn't
pattern,
matter how
it's
much
like,
you move it. Can I just be like...
yeah, it's a lightsaber. It goes right through the block as it's coming at you. It's like,
No,
boop.
but I mean, you know, do I have to like get up and move a lot? Can I just be like...
You'll have to be standing because sometimes a big wall will be coming and you have to like stand to the side
Can I
of
just
it.
roll my chair?
You could. There might be one too high to hit. Some of you got to stab. But and they're all over the place. But it has a saber mode where you only use one stick.
That sounds like baby mode.
Except it's kind of like DDR challenge mode. It has, you know, it has like light, medium, heavy, like a similar thing. It's the equivalent of...
Is it a number of hands instead of feet?
No, it's actually just like easy, medium, hard, expert, extreme, like something like that. But if you put it in saber mode, it's expert only.
Is there some song that's the equivalent of like the impossible song?
Yeah, I
like,
found one. I found one that was like, and I was like, nope. Though Matt Morgan's apparently really good at it. But I was playing, and then Emily was like,
imagine when it gets really fast, it's similar to like just drumming, right? Only drums all over the place.
well, like here's an example of clever arrows. Now DDR, there's arrow combinations like in our favorite song, Music, where if you don't notice the pattern and learn to like do the spin or the torso twist, it's really hard. Same thing. You notice a pattern, you're like, that pattern is just swing the sword like this.
Oh, like in a circle.
Like twirl it, like that kind of. You'll figure this out. So I'm playing, and then Emily taps me on the shoulder, which is always terrifying in VR, and is like, "Hey, I got to do a thing on my computer, and I can't just be here like swinging around swords with a blindfold on." So I get her up to leave, and then Emily sits down, and then she says, "Whoa, what the fuck's wrong with my computer?" You notice her Surface laptop is not sitting there right now.
She just take it with her to do work?
So the top of the Surface is a pretty cool device because the top part is the computer, and you can use it as just a computer.
Well, the Pro Surface.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still make the Pro one like that or not.
Yeah, they do. She has the second newest one. It's
I haven't looked at the newest ones.
Basically, it's the laptop I would buy if I had to buy a laptop today.
Actually, I have a spare AC adapter for a Surface just lying around.
Oh.
You want it?
Maybe.
Okay.
But so the top part is like a pretty good like tablet computer, like really powerful. But if you plug it into the bottom half, then it's a laptop with a real it's got a 1050 video card.
The bottom part is pretty much just
a video card and a battery.
Kind of a video card, like a
it's got
laptop
kind of a video card.
Just
It's a 1050, which is not a terrible video card.
It's not a 1050 didn't exist when the...
it's a 1050.
What?
You can get a 950 or a 1050. It's a pretty good video card. Like, it'll play Overwatch.
I mean, anything will play Overwatch.
It'll render video, like, better than my previous computer with the 760.
I don't know if it's a 1050. It doesn't sound right.
But the last one was
Point
a 950.
is, it is a GPU in there.
Yeah, it's a real GPU.
It's pretty much a GPU, a keyboard, and some connectors.
And more battery.
Yeah.
So we saw was that the whole bottom had just, like, bowed down. Like the bottom was about to like pop off and you couldn't push it back up. And I peeked inside, the entire battery pack had expanded. And because now the computer still worked just fine.
The top part.
Yeah, the top part.
Not the bottom part, though.
Plugged into the bottom part, it still worked fine.
Well, but the bottom part wasn't doing anything, though. It was just operating as the
I
top
imagine if we did anything that invoked the video card, it would have been a problem.
part. Anyway.
So you had to take it to the Microsoft store, and they were like, yep, battery's fucked. We will give you an entire new Surface for free.
That sounds good. The newest, a newer one or the same one?
Same one,
Yeah.
which is still pretty new.
I'm always surprised at how, like, I've been to the Apple store for, like, Apple Care stuff.
Yep.
They will have, like, the exact models of things.
Yeah, they'll never be like, oh,
going way back.
your 1-year-old iPhone is bad.
And not only that, but they'll have them in like this non-retail, clearly meant for replacing things packaging.
Yep.
So it's like, oh yeah, this old thing that we don't sell in the store anymore, but yours broke. We have that exact one in the back.
Yep.
Here it is, but you don't get an extra. You don't get all the retail packaging. So you don't get extra cables or anything. You get just the thing that you're replacing. Fuck you.
Meanwhile, cameras.
Like, really?
Like every time I got to get a camera or something repaired, or I know people who have had to deal with that.
They want to repair it. They don't want to give you a new one. They want to fix the one you got.
Because they can't give you the same one you have, because they usually don't do that long of a production run of any particular camera. And they don't want to give you the next one up.
Even if they do, they want to just repair the one you have. They don't want to make anything.
Yep, I'm still waiting for them to fix my lens, but they did find the problem, so they'll fix it. And so yeah, the laptop just expanded. The battery in the bottom half of that, probably because it has to power a video card.
You're lucky it didn't start a fire.
Yeah, we are really lucky it didn't start a fire.
Or explode. Or
yeah,
hurt
it was like puffed. If you've ever seen a naked lithium-ion cell,
Yeah, I've seen it.
puffed like that, it was that.
I had little tiny GoPro batteries that puffed.
Yep.
Got rid of those.
I had a GoPro battery puff. I was skiing and I was videoing, and then I saw the GoPro just stopped
I
recording.
was like, how come I can't get the back onto the battery cover onto this old GoPro Hero 2? Oh, the battery is puffed.
Yep.
Goodbye.
I took the GoPro out of the case. This was the old one that had like the case, and then you had to open the camera itself separately from the case. Now GoPros are just waterproof on their own. But I opened the back, and the back just pops off, and the battery just goes whoop, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yep. My GoPro, I guess I have a GoPro 5 now. I think the newest one is like 7 or something.
Yeah,
But
I'm debating getting the newest GoPro
It
because
has
they're
not
pretty
had
great.
any problems.
Yeah, the new GoPros are great. Like
I feel like newer than 5, the benefits are only incremental.
they're all the newer GoPros you only need if you're doing like really high FPS.
It's like when I got the 2, I was like, when would I replace this? And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Now I got the 5. It's like, all right, now I'm really not going to replace this.
Yep.
I'm in definitely a no replacement mode. My iPhone 7 is still going.
Yeah, dude, not only is my 2-year-old Xperia like awesome phone still going, but I do own another identical phone.
I'm sure if I want to, I can get an iPhone 7 that is new and unused.
Yep. So when
If
this
I
phone
had
finally
to.
dies, I'm just going to swap my SIM into an identical phone that I own that's never been used. Because it's the last good Android phone. I'm not replacing. I'm just trying to keep everything I got
I
going.
know there's that new Android phone they announced today that seems okay.
Pixel 3, it's the
3A,
camera.
the 3A.
The camera on that thing is bullshit compared to the camera on this phone.
The 3A supposedly has like an amazing camera on it.
We'll see. I saw mixed review. Well, when you were talking about that in the Discord, I looked at some reviews and they were all over the place. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. In the news, if you didn't know, there's a game called Uno that's really popular among, I guess, families.
It's actually been coming up a lot recently. There's a great Twitter account, Bootleg Stuff, that posts bootleg stuff, mostly anime bootleg stuff. And they posted a picture of a bootleg Pokemon Uno, and I replied, and I was like, that is a bootleg you posted, but there is a real Pokemon Uno. There's a real Mario Uno. There's a whole bunch of themed Unos that are totally legit and nerdy and awesome.
Uno's basically Monopoly.
Uno is a better game than Monopoly.
Yeah, but in terms of there's a Monopoly for every conceivable thing that is licensed. There's a Monopoly for like every damn city, every movie franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Uno has a similar thing going on. But the official Uno Twitter account tweeted something, and I was confused by it because it said it was a rules clarification. It said if someone puts down a +4 card, I'm just assuming you know how Uno works, you must draw 4 and your turn is skipped. Yeah, that's the rule.
If Rim is sitting to my right
or left,
depending. Play is going clockwise, and Rim plays a +4. I draw 4 because he attacked me,
and you skip your turn. Fuck you.
And the next person on the other side of me is now their turn. That is correct Uno play. Apparently, some people just made up rules of Uno out of nothing to where Rim would play an attack card, making me draw, say, 4 or 2. then I would be able to play another attack card, and thus both attack cards would apply to the person to my left. That is bullshit you made up.
Who the hell that is? Here's the thing. I played Uno a lot as a kid with a lot of people.
I never did that ever.
I'd never heard of that. The fact that the official Uno account is like, you can't put down a +2 to make the next person draw 6. We know you've tried. Who has tried that? Who are these fucking people? And the answer is, look at the people replying to this account. Apparently, everyone plays Uno in this ridiculous, made-up nonsense way.
I do love that the Uno account is defending the
Dude,
rules.
there's a
and
tweet here.
sanctity
Someone
of
responded
Uno.
with a screenshot of the rules and said, guys, it's right in the rules. I went outside and bought another deck to make sure. Like, apparently people believe this nonsense rule, and here is the genius part. This is why I love this Twitter account. All these responses are, wait, what about blah? What about blah? What about blah? And the Uno account just keeps responding, no, no, nope, no. You cannot. That is stacking. Nope, you cannot stack. Yes, one person was like, "Can I win by using a wild card?" And they're like, "Yes."
Yeah, if you have Uno and your last card is wild,
You're just gonna win.
and you play it, you win. That's how Uno works. You go down to one card, you say Uno, and then you empty your hand and you win.
Yep. So apparently people just play Uno with made-up nonsense rules. Props to whoever runs the Uno account. Props for being pro rules. I want to see the Monopoly
You're making
account.
me like Uno. Now I feel like I want to. I don't think I have an Uno currently. I've had one in the past.
Well, because if I want to play that kind of game, I'm just gonna play like Schickeln or something.
Yeah, but I kind of want to find the best. It's so cheap to buy an Uno. It's $5.
I probably have an Uno deck. I get my mom to just mail to me.
I probably have one somewhere, but I kind of want to find the best themed Uno and buy just that Uno. Right? Maybe there's like a Mega Man Uno or something.
Ooh, Mega Man Uno.
I don't know. There could be anything.
We could just make an Uno and I could just get it printed.
Yeah, but you're going to find a better one,
Well, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to make a Claude.
Anyway.
So, in some other news, sports are games, and we'll talk about this briefly, but in the sport of horse racing, which is more a sport for the horses than the jockeys, but the jockeys play a role. Lot of things we could talk about.
That is
with
one
horse
positive
racing.
thing I can say about the about horse racing is that they treat the horse as the champion.
Yeah.
They're like, this horse won. They don't put too much
Which is true.
emphasis.
The horse did all the work.
They do interview the jockeys and they get money and stuff, and they're right, and the owners are also right, but most of the attention is on the horse.
Yeah.
They consider the horse to be the winner. The horse won the Triple Crown, not the jockey, not the owner.
Like,
right?
that's why I know the name Far Lap, but I have no idea who the hell rode Far Lap.
The name of the movie is Secretariat. The name of the movie is not something else. Right?
And regardless of your controversial feelings about exploiting animals in this way, at least the animals are getting the fame. Not
there
that it
are
means
worse
much to
ways
them.
to exploit animals.
Yes, but if you didn't watch the Kentucky Derby, a horse won by a lot, and then someone who did not win issued a challenge because that horse broke a rule that is disqualifying.
And according to people who are experts in horse racing, because I'm fucked sure as hell not,
I know a little bit about
they seem to agree that yes, indeed, that horse did break a rule and therefore should not have won.
So here's
even though if that horse didn't break the rule, it probably still would have won because it was the fastest horse. People said it was the fastest horse before the race.
But
it had the shortest odds.
If you're the best hockey team and you keep hitting people in the face with your sticks, you're not going to win the Stanley Cup, even if you are in fact the best at hockey.
But I do actually want to congratulate the sport of horse racing, whoever officiates it, because they have done the right thing, the same thing that bicycle racing did right, because bicycle racing does a lot of things wrong. Well, cycling, right? In that, when someone cheated or broke a rule, the penalty was losing.
Yep.
Unlike football, where when someone cheats or breaks a rule, the penalty is like you get a fine, you get a suspension, you lose some draft picks, but you're still the Super Bowl champions.
Yep.
The penalty for cheating must be losing. Otherwise, cheating is just an avenue for pay to win.
Yep. Or, in the context of hockey, because you get a 2-minute penalty for slashing is part of the game. You can just slash.
Yeah, if someone's about to score, it's a good idea to interfere, do some interference or cross-check them or whatever.
And then hope you win. Hope you kill the penalty.
Right. If they're going to score a goal on a breakaway, you're better off knocking them over even though they get a penalty shot because, well, now you got a chance to block that penalty shot, right?
Yep.
If they're going to score a goal, okay, you might be able to kill a 2-minute power play, right? It's part of the game.
Yeah. Now, that part of the game maybe should change a little bit, but that's
maybe it should.
I mean, what if you make a team that's just a bunch of monsters and you have the best penalty killing squad in the league? Like, what? That could be a strategy.
It is a strategy.
I know, and it shouldn't be.
Why not?
So anyway, even better, the attorney for maximum security, the horse that was disqualified,
The horse that would have won if it didn't break the rules.
filed an appeal, and the Racing Commission responded denying the appeal, saying that stewards' decisions are not subject to appeal. There is no appeal process.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a but the thing is, even whether it was an appeal process or not, as I said, everyone who knows about horse racing seems to be mostly in agreement
Well,
that this was a correct ruling.
Here's what's extra
From
interesting.
what I have gathered, maybe someone else gathers differently. Let me know.
Horse racing is one of the earliest sports to use the photo finish, meaning, hey, cameras exist. We're going to fucking use this to know exactly who won.
You know why? Because fucking money's on the line.
Yup, so
right?
soccer-
And that's why all these other sports have gotten away with all kinds of bullshit. And as soon as betting is, at least, if they legalize sports gambling, that will suck. But at least they're going to start, that'll force the replay to come into everything so that people who bet don't sue.
Dude, last night in the Bruins game where they eliminated the Cabbages, the CVJs, from the playoffs, the first goal scored in the game was actually under review in Toronto for a while.
At least they review it.
They were watching that replay over
Good.
and over
It's
over again.
A playoff goal. You better be fucking watching that in an elimination game.
Yep. And the chat, it was they disallowed the goal in the end.
Good job.
It was interesting because that goal in the 90s would not have been disallowed.
Hell no.
Yeah. In the 90s, it was only goalie interference if you punch the goalie out.
Well, there was the era where it was goalie interference if any part of any offensive player's body was in the blue paint at all.
Which was also
while
bad.
the goal was scored, even if it wasn't interfering with the goalie in any way whatsoever.
And then there was a
And
situation,
they were
I remember.
constantly reviewing it every time and disallowing all the goals.
I remember being at a Red Wings game where Sergei Fedorov's skate was in the edge of the crease,
Yep.
nowhere near the action.
Yep.
So the goal was disallowed, even
Yep.
though it had nothing to do with the play.
Yep.
So yeah, props to horse racing for following their own rules and not bowing to public pressure or all this nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks, but them's the rules.
Mm-hmm.
In some other news,
Right. So Scrabble, a game that we're not big fans of because it is a game of mostly memorization and not a game of any of the other, right? If you play it with people who haven't memorized the Scrabble dictionary, then it is a good game because it's about positioning and, sort of creativity with words,
Yep.
sort of like bananagrams, right?
if you replace the letters with squares that have 4 different colors on the sides, and there's rules about matching colors to play things, it would also work.
Yeah. Bananagrams forces you to use speed to sort of eliminate the memory problem. But in the end, Pro Scrabble ends up being a game of memory. How much of the Scrabble dictionary have you memorized? And then you win. So then my news is actually pretty interesting. They just added a fuck ton of words to the Scrabble dictionary.
2,862 new words.
Including lots of 2-letter words that were previously not legal, like okay and ew, like EW, as well as words that are very modern, like genderqueer, or the gender-neutral pronoun they, or words like fleek, all right? So I think that's pretty cool that Scrabble, despite being a memory game, is actually willing to, A, challenge the pros by forcing them to memorize 2,000 more fucking words.
Now, here's the thing. You might
And
think...
also make itself more accessible to people who are probably not playing with the Scrabble dictionary handy, are going to put in fleek and then be argue about it. And there's going to be a grandma who's that's not a word. And the kid is it totally is. And then look up the word and grandma's wrong. And that'll be the best.
Quidgibo.
That's right. They should put Quidgibo in there. That'd be great.
They should.
Quidgibo my
Quidgibo
way.
is a perfectly cromulent word.
Quidgibo my way to a triple word score. That's right.
A big, dumb, balding, hairless ape
Yep.
with a with a fat head and a mean I forget the quote. Anyway,
Anyway.
that was a long time ago. But
Different times,
actually,
you understand.
so you might
1997
think,
or 98.
how much of a change does adding about 3,000 words to a game that already has 276,000 words matter? It matters a lot and completely changes the meta of the game. Scrabble is now a completely different game. I'm going to read a quote from this article. Quote, one of the most impactful changes to the game some of the words they added, because it ends with the letter K. It used to be that if you put a K down, you knew your opponent couldn't play across the top of it. It'll be a change of mindset, he said. He predicted the inclusion of the word would outrage some fans, but, and here's the money shot, quote, that's the joy of it. So the fact that these extra words exist really changes the strategy of Scrabble. It's not just memorize the words, it's consider how each and every one of these words opens up potential new play strategies that were not previously feasible.
It's basically a new meta for Scrabble, which isn't news for any nerd game. It's like, oh, a new meta for Magic? Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah,
a
new meta for hockey. There is a new meta for ice hockey right now.
Yeah, new meta for Overwatch? All right. Oh, Scrabble finally got a new meta. Welcome to Nerd World, boys.
Yep.
Welcome to Nerd World.
Oh, total aside, before we get to the things of the day, I learned something interesting. You know how we had an expansion draft in the NHL recently?
Yeah,
there's a new team?
Yeah.
There's another kind of draft that hasn't happened in a long time. When a team is shut down, there's a reverse draft for everyone to steal those players.
No team is going to get shut down.
So it almost happened to a team in the 70s.
There were teams that didn't draft because there were issues. But
yeah, no, there was a team that was performing so poorly financially that it almost shut down mid-season, and there was a plan to have a reverse draft to steal all the players from this team into the rest of the NHL. But anyway, it is time for...
What was my thing of the day again?
Your thing of the day was...
Oh, the water guy.
Oh, yeah, did you even send it to me?
I did, I think.
Water guy.
He was clearing a drain.
Oh, yeah, you sent it to me. Here it is.
Yeah.
I had not even seen this video. I'm just going to like it, and then I'll let you do yours first. There's a lot of people in the chat. All right.
Go away, chat people. You got better something to do. Go play Scrabble.
Oh, I learned about Puerto Rican Yahtzee, too. There's a game that's almost identical to Yahtzee that's popular in Puerto Rico.
I feel like I've heard of something about that before.
Because I was teaching one of my coworkers Pedals Around the Rose. That's becoming a thing at work now.
Oh, no.
Yep. No one's heard of it except one old guy. So I get to be the Pedals Around the Rose guy.
You're definitely the Pedals Around the Rose guy.
Dude, Pedals Around the Rose is such a rim fucking thing. Okay.
I should give you my, my rock, paper, scissors dice. Basically, you let someone pick. They're all these weird dice I have. It's like a little thing I bought. And you let the person pick any die they want.
Yep.
And no matter which die they pick, there is a die you can pick that has better odds
Oh,
against
yeah.
it in a circular
I forget the name
relationship.
for it. There's a type of dice set that is numbers that does the same thing. It's like 8 dice in a row, and that's just a limited form of that math problem. I learned about it from that 3 Blue 1 Brown channel. I partially understood the math behind it, but not enough to describe it in any detail.
Yeah, I'm not even bothering with the Blues and the Browns. It's too much for me.
Yeah, Blues and the Browns is it pushes me to the point that I don't fully understand the videos by the end. Number file is much more my style. Number file explains it to me.
Yeah.
Okay. It's time for Things of the Day. What do you got?
So I'm sure most people know the word culvert, right? But
I don't think most people do, because when Skojo moved to his new house that was next to that culvert, I said, "Whoa, you're next to a culvert," and half our friends were like, "Oh, what?"
So if you don't know what a culvert is, basically in situations where there's water and it might say flood, right? You don't want a flood, I don't know, on a road that cars have to drive through, right? And then go sploosh.
Yep.
So what you do, a culvert is pretty simple, is you basically just put a bunch of fucking pipes under the road so that the water, when it comes to the road, goes up under the road and out the other side, and now your road is dry, and the water continues to flow. So
well, back up a little bit. So when you have roads that don't have rainwater drainage systems on them, like old roads, rural roads, often what you'll have are ditches. Rainwater systems are basically just covered ditches. Like you cover the ditches, turn them into pipes, and then you put drains in the road. Where do those drains go?
They go down the hill.
Yep.
They go down somewhere, right?
Yep.
So especially if you got like a mountain road, you know, you don't want to have like a grill in the mountain road that then you have to put a pipe under, you know, you get the idea. Anyway, so this kid, I don't know if it's a kid or whatever, but he's talking about riding around with his dad. So it must be someone who lives with their dad or needs a ride from their dad at least. Anyway, noticed that this drain in a small lake/large pond kind of place was all clogged up, and the culvert wasn't really flowing. and the lake level was kind of high, and he could see that the drain was like all clogged up with all kinds of garbage.
Yep, because there's a cage there to prevent the clog from getting into the culvert.
Right.
Because that's a lot harder to clear out.
Yeah, then you have to go in the pipe, clearing shit out. You don't want to do that.
Go
right?
find any culvert, like a big one, and you'll see like a big metal cage under the water usually.
So anyway, he tells his dad, hey, bring me back there later. I want to clear that out. So he goes back there with a whole bunch of gear to make himself dry and protected from dangerous bits, and also a camera to post a video on YouTube that you're going to watch.
It's a real satisfying video, I'm getting the
It's
impression.
one of those like real satisfying things where this dude who doesn't seem, I guess he seems slightly like a weird dude because he's spending his time doing this.
I mean, if you're into
but
culverts,
he's also sort of like an unsung hero, right? As he goes and he removes all the garbage from the top of this drain, and the water starts off flowing.
That's a good feeling. That feels good.
And you could just don't stop watching this. You might think, oh, okay, whatever. But no, it keeps going. And he comes back later and you can see the water level went down overnight like multiple inches.
This video is the definition of wait for it.
And he shows you like where the water went to, like in a swamp way below the road, down the hill somewhere.
So my thing of the day, F1, if you don't know, one thing about F1 cars is that the steering wheels are like $20,000 to $30,000 pieces of technology.
Right, well, you're in
by
a Formula One
themselves.
car. You're in a really tight space, right? And you've got pedals down by your feet, and you maybe got some levers to your side, but you can't really move around too much, right? In a little tiny cockpit.
Yep.
Right?
You're also experiencing extreme G-forces, and you can't really look around much.
And you can't. You got to wearing this helmet. You wedge yourself in there, right? So you got this really expensive, really fancy car with all sorts of crazy features, right, on it that you need to control. And since you don't have a giant dashboard like whatever SUV you're probably driving, you suburban what, all the controls go on the steering wheel mostly.
Yep, and they have to be usable by someone driving a car at high speed under pressure. And they have to do a lot, and they literally cost $20,000 or $30,000 to make.
They're all custom made for the car, for the driver, whatever. I've seen lots of videos in the past of drivers showing off their steering wheels, being like, "This button does this button does that." Right? I remember one with Kimi Räikkönen specifically. I watched the whole thing.
Yep.
He told every single part of the steering wheel. He explained what the hell it did.
So, one driver takes an older steering wheel from some years ago, back when traction control was still allowed.
Oh.
And he walks you through in detail what every one of the fucking buttons does. And it's fascinating, especially because a few of them are blanked out and a few of them are not legal anymore. Like, traction control is not allowed in F1.
Not anymore.
Yeah, so you can't have, like, controls to enable and disable, like, different types of traction control. So, but he walks through, like, what everything does. But then he does something I've never seen before, because usually when you watch these videos, the person asks, hey, so what's on the back? And the answer is always, I can't show you the back. And they studiously, like the camera.
I don't know why, but they never show you the back. And they're basically like, yeah, it's proprietary trade secret. We can't show you the back of the steering wheel. I'm like, what the fuck could be on there? There's just some shifting paddles and like some sort of cylinder where it connects to the drive shaft connecty thing in the car, right? What could possibly be back there? A gun to shoot the other drivers that you're hiding? I don't like some performance-enhancing drugs. What the hell are you hiding back there?
So I'm half watching this video and I'm playing some Overwatch, and then it gets to a point like around 8 minutes in where he's like, okay, now I'm going to show you the back. And I'm like, what?
What the fuck?
Finally. And you get to see the back, and they talk about it in detail, and there's 8 paddles back there, but he says something interesting.
Does he tell you why no one else lets you see the back?
No, he says, usually we can't show you the back, and then but I can show you this one because it's a few years old. And I think, okay, that's still cool. And then he says something fascinating. He says, and I removed the top secret stuff. So now you see the back, and there's 8 paddles back there, and they're like customizable, and like you just get to see like the details of the back. And he explains what all the paddles do, and like this fancy connector. You can even see inside the connector. But he did say there is something top secret that they removed before they let us see it.
What the fuck are they keeping on the back of these wheels? And if no team will show you the back.
So they all know there's secret stuff back there.
So every team has secret stuff on the back of their wheel. What the fuck is back there?
Here's the thing. The next time...
What could it possibly be?
The next time...
It's a button.
The next time a driver has that hissy fit where they crash and they get out of the car and they throw the steering wheel, I want to analyze frame by frame every video angle of that throw.
I want to bring the zoomiest zoom fucking lens to an F1 race with a the ultra slow-mo camera to zoom in on the back of some steering wheel when a guy gets out of the car.
Because he literally is like, oh yeah, we removed the top secret stuff. And he's like dead serious about that. Is this just a long-running prank where there's nothing secret back there and they all agreed to pretend there's
Every
something?
single Formula One team, since they invented fancy wheels instead of just having normal steering wheels.
Like, imagine if everyone who plays competitive Smash Brothers all agreed that there's a special controller they use when they're playing it in tournaments, and no one's allowed to see the back of it because there's something secret there that's only for pros.
And if this is an old-ass wheel, then, like... What the fuck? I mean, there are people who have purchased right? F1 cars change every year. There are people who purchased old cars and who are not associated with the teams or the drivers. Surely they know what's on the back of the wheel. Or did they give those people a wheel that they could drive the car with that does not have top secret stuff on it?
Yeah.
So they get less than the original car? They just get like some replacement wheel?
I have no idea, but I'm even more invested in what the hell is on the back of those wheels now than I've ever been.
And it's like, it's not even valuable information to me.
No, it means nothing to me. That's the kind of thing where if it wasn't secret, I'd find one YouTube video that explains what the deal is, and I'd go, oh, and then I just remember
like
that.
Drivers and other employees of Formula One teams move from team to team, right? They don't have no.
Do they debrief them? Do they listen? If you talk about what's on the back of this fucking wheel, we will kill your family.
Right. It's like the driver knows what's on the back, and they don't have some sort of no compete. They move from team to team all the time. It's like, I don't know.
I want to know. I want to know more than anything.
What the fuck?
And once I find out, I know what would happen.
It'll probably be disappointing and lame.
Yeah, I would go, oh, okay, cool. And then I would just proceed to never care again. In the meta moment, the GeekNights book club book is
The Painful Pages.
Troy Denning's Planescape branded novel, Pages of Pain, which is one of two books that introduced most people to the deal with the Planescape setting. Mm-hmm. It's a painful book. I just got to the part, they're in the maze, and they're following the thread.
I just got to a part where he cut off some giant's finger in the maze.
Ooh, so I'm not at that part yet in the reread, but I remember that part.
Okay.
I remember that part from a kid. What's weird is I didn't remember the fact that the thread existed at all.
Okay.
Because this book just goes here's a scene that's happening, and then something hard to explain happens. Now they're in a different place, and a different thing is happening. Mm-hmm. That seems to just happen. I like how the elf is like, what, Dabu? What do you mean a wall? Who built a wall? We're not in the maze. Mm-hmm. So, we'll be doing this book pretty soon. Wow, the paperback cost...
I'm about halfway done.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind Scott. I'm just at the part where they're in the hot part of the maze with the hail, and they turned his foot to stone.
I'm past that.
Yeah, but I remember some stuff past that.
Okay.
Also, he is clearly Theseus. It is ham-fistedly just telling us, hey, here's all these hints. Maybe you can face Theseus. They're saying that his fucking Theseus came to the Pages of Pain. Theseus is just in Planescape.
Yeah.
That is what it is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, a bunch of our recent panels are on YouTube. You can just go watch them. And let's go right into it. So the reason we want to do this show is partly because we talk about this a lot. But
this is some idea that I've been espousing for years now. I feel like I must have talked about it on the show at least once, and it applies to a much broader, thing. It's a huge issue that applies to, I guess, all communities.
Yep.
Right, and not just gaming, but it is most prominent and recognized in gaming. Whereas in other areas, it's not recognized so much, but people are seeing. Gaming is the area where people are seeing it and simply not recognizing it and zooming out on the issue.
But I think gaming is where it actually matters more because
it does matter more in gaming, which is also why I think people recognize it there.
Because here's an example. Say Game of Thrones, the final season or whatever is happening right now, and people are watching that. Some of the people watching it are just watching it because, medieval fighting and stuff. I wonder what happens. Cool. And some people are trying to analyze the allegory and symbolism and details and figure stuff out and look at the cinematography. And there's all these different communities who are watching Game of Thrones for different reasons. Those communities don't actually have to interact. and do not actually affect each other in any meaningful way.
Right. Well, it's like I said, in the world, we organize, at least in our Western capitalist societies, we organize our communities, especially fan communities, but also all communities in general, right? Based on the wrong things. Star Wars fans will get together at Star Wars Celebration. There will be people there who like making robot R2-D2s that are like perfect replicas, and there are people there who like writing Star Wars fan fiction. Those people actually have almost nothing in common. Whereas if the Star Wars fan fiction writer got together with, say, a Harry Potter fan fiction writer, they would, even though the Harry Potter person might not like Star Wars at all, and the Star Wars person might not like Harry Potter at all, those people have more in common than the Star Wars person does with the R2-D2 robot person, because we're not organizing our communities based on what actually makes people like each other and get along, right?
But even look at an anime con.
We're organizing people based on brands or properties or...
Here's a great example. Look at an anime con. We go to an anime con and we want to like do panels and learn stuff about the industry and learn stuff about animation and that kind of thing. And some other people go because they want to cosplay as Dragon Ball Z and watch Dragon Ball Z, and neither one of us actually interfere with each other's fun for the most part. We can
That's
both
also
coexist.
true. But we also have nothing in common. Well, we have a lot less in common than you would think. Right?
But Fortnite and games like it, Overwatch, any gaming, this problem, you have to play the game with other people, and all the people who play the game together.
Yep.
So here's the problem. We'll start with the Fortnite story, because the Fortnite story is the linchpin of all this. Fortnite
It's just the latest incident that has brought this to light again.
Yeah, but it brought it to light and probably writ large.
Yes.
Because more people play Fortnite than anything.
Yep.
Fortnite like this affected a lot of people who don't think hard about games.
So here's what I've gathered from the story, right?
It was hard to figure out which update it was because there is anger about literally every update
They made
to Fortnite.
some sort of patch to Fortnite. And what the patch did is it changed the game so that when you killed someone, they would drop loot of some kind. I don't know if it was the loot they had or additional loot, but there would be loot. And this was not true before. It used to be that you had to do like PUBG, where you'd have to go around collecting loot and then start shooting people with the loot you gathered.
Yep.
Right? But you would kill people, they would drop their loot. Or maybe new loot. I don't know. The point is, it was enough loot that you could, at the start of the game, just start killing people. And you didn't have to go and farm for any stuff or search for anything. You could just start killing people. And if you just kept killing people with your good shooting skills, you could win the game. And that was actually the strategy to win the game. Because of this patch it ended up making Fortnite more of an esport, more of a real game where you could try to win and skill was rewarded and people tried to kill each other in order to win.
Now, the people who play Fortnite competitively or wanted to play Fortnite competitively...
We're very happy with this patch.
Because that changes the game too. Yes, there is like a very clear path to victory. If I am better at killing people, because it is one man, a million people enter, one person remains, they can play the game to win and their skill will matter.
Yep.
By killing more people, by doing the thing they're supposed to do, they will become better at, in the context of that instance of the game, doing that thing, and eventually it's a snowball and someone will win.
Yep.
Most of the players of Fortnite hated this because the way most people play Fortnite is they don't actually try to win. They kind of just like fucking around in Fortnite.
Yep.
Killing people is like the thing that the serious people do at the end, and they don't really care that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vast majority of people in general, it seems, based on, I guess, experience I've had, right, are not interested. There are people who are interested in playing games competitively to win and treat games that way, but it seems the vast majority of people just like playing. They just like to play, which is perfectly valid. Right? It's not like there's a right or wrong way.
Well, when I was a kid, I'd play Zelda 2. When I was young, my kid brain, I didn't try to beat Zelda 2. I just played it. I don't know what I was doing. I just wandered around and
but even you think about it, it's like you play with your action figures. You're just playing. It's fun. That's what people do. Play is great, right? Play is a good thing. And even though there are games that are constructs in which there is some sort of victory condition, right? even if people don't even recognize that their decisions don't matter, like Candyland, a lot of adults don't realize.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Is
oh my God! At PAX, we were literally arguing with this dude in line
who didn't understand, shuffling cards.
Yeah, he literally could not fathom the idea that if you shuffle the cards, or if you don't shuffle them, or if you shuffle them every turn, the outcome's the same in a random game of Candyland. Like it was a weird situation.
Anyway, the point is,
I'm still mad about that conversation with that guy.
I don't know. There was no way to get through to him because he didn't have the mental capacity to understand what we were saying.
Yep.
Or at least not in the short amount of time we had.
I think he fundamentally did not have a concept of statistics.
No, none. Most people don't.
Yeah.
The point is, most people just like to play. And even if they happen to be playing something where there is a way to win, they don't really care too much about it. They just want to play.
Now, for most of gaming history, this was also fine, because if I'm just playing Zelda 2 to win, no one else is affected by that who plays Zelda 2.
Yeah, I mean, you would have some occasional situations where you'd go to an arcade and try to play Street Fighter, and you would lose to someone immediately and then have to walk away. But, you would just wait until there wasn't anyone there if you weren't good enough, right? Because it was going to cost you money to fight against that really good guy.
Yep.
You're not going to do it unless
I'd always go play the Mortal Kombat 2 machine when no one was around, because I just wanted to play the single-player version.
Right. So these didn't really... And even when multiplayer gaming became a thing, right, it was like GoldenEye in your house. It was... even if you had to be really smart to be able to play Quake online, right? Multiplayer gaming wasn't really, competitive, multiplayer gaming wasn't huge and accessible to most people until like way later. Later.
Back to Fortnite, when this update happened and it made the game more skill-based, a thriving competitive community emerged instantly. Like, the competitive set doubled down on Fortnite and loved this update because it made the game serious.
The Fortnite is maybe the first mega game that is competitive online multiplayer.
Yeah.
Right? It's like before that you had Minecraft, which was just playing.
Yep.
Right? There's no competitive Minecraft. And before that, all the games that were online multiplayer, even the MOBAs.
They were niche, core.
Even League of Legends is small compared to Fortnite.
Yep. Or even in the old days when Quake 2, Quake 1 Deathmatch was a huge game
that is
among gamers, among this tiny subset of human beings who had a computer and a video card.
Right, among
and
the
internet
world,
access.
it was almost nobody, right?
Yep, so the vast majority of players hated this update because now, anytime they played Fortnite, people would kill them.
Yeah,
right away.
They couldn't play because they were being murdered and someone else was trying to win. It was an incompatible play group, right?
So Fortnite made a new update.
They saw the stats that people were they were losing engagement or whatever, however they measure it, and they decided, well, we got to remove this patch. It's no good for us making money.
So they reverted it. 820 undid this competitive change, and they pretty much said they will never bring back these changes.
Right. But meanwhile, at a Fortnite esports event, the top Fortnite players, when interviewed at the end after winning or whatever, were like, yeah, I'm going to give up Fortnite. This is bullshit. It's not really an esport anymore.
Yep, this ended...
And then they're like, okay, the interview guy was like, all right, I'm just going to go past you and ask the next guy. The next guy was like, yeah, I'm also going to say probably not playing this game anymore. It's not really competitive.
Yep. So
even though they're making tons of money playing it and it's the biggest game on earth, they were just like, nope, I'm done.
I'm going to read this quote because it actually sums everything up about the update. Everybody enjoyed receiving health and shields for eliminations after we introduced the changes to the core modes, but there was an unexpected consequence. Players at large grew more frustrated with Fortnite play, feeling they had less chance due to encounters with high-skill players with full health and shields. Ultimately, Siphon increased engagement for the highest skilled 10%, while the remaining 90% of players were more frustrated and played less.
Yep.
So that's because Fortnite is so big. I would say this is the stat. 10% of players of any game try to win, and the remaining 90%...
Yeah, the sample size is enormous, right? So that's the best we've got.
That's
the best stats we've ever had on this issue.
I thought it was going to be more 80-20. I'm actually really surprised
I thought
90-10.
it would be even less. I thought it would be like 50-95.
So here's the fascinating part.
5-95.
That 90%, what we don't know, there are, I think, two communities in the 90%. I think Group A, people who just want to play. And they don't want some high-skilled jackass killing them.
Mm-hmm.
The other half are people who want to play competitively but suck. And they don't realize they suck. Those are, basically those are the people, the scrubs, who complain the most because those are the people who think they're platinum in Overwatch. They're actually silver. They won't admit it. If you get rid of that top 10% of players, those scrubs feel like they're good because half the people they're playing with aren't even trying to win.
Right. Well, I mean, there's an old
and
story.
they're not good enough to frustrate the people who aren't trying to win.
Right. The old story about this comes from the Magic world, right? Where they talk about, what is it, Johnny, Timmy, and Spike or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Something like that. And, the model that they use, those three models of kinds of players, I don't think are exactly right.
Nope.
But
they were the first serious attempt to categorize players.
The general idea, though, I think is close to the mark, right?
Yeah.
Is that they have their idea, I'm not remembering it exactly right. I think Spike was the kind of player who just wants to win. They don't care how they win. They don't care what kind of evil bullshit they got to do.
That's me.
They'll play Channel Fireball. They don't give a fuck.
Dude, when Overwatch first
whatever
introduced
is the
Deathmatch,
cheapest, easiest, nastiest way to win, they're going to do it.
when Overwatch first introduced Deathmatch, I chose Bridget because she had the stun ability, and
It's just bullshit.
So in a one-on-one fight, like where there's no one else around, it's just me and someone else, I could 100% of the time kill that other person.
Okay.
So I only played Bridget. Now they nerfed that.
And then I forget which Johnny or Timmy or whatever, Johnny, I don't know. But there was one where it's like they just want to play big stuff. Like they just want to summon the Colossus of Sardia. It's a fucking 12-12, bitches. And then there was
Force of Nature, 8-8, eat it. 8-8 trample.
And the other kind of player, the third one, was the kind where it's like, I just want to do this really clever, fancy magic woo combo thing, right?
I'm going to cycle through my entire magic deck in one turn because that's really fun.
I got this really clever thing. I just want to do it, right? And the fundamental problem is that no matter what game you are making, no matter what the rules of this game are, these players are incompatible. Even though they're playing the same game, them being in the same community and playing against each other is simply it's going to create conflict. It is not. Those people shouldn't even be. It's like, yeah, okay, you both play Magic, but actually you have the guy playing Spike Magic, where he just tries to win, has more in common with him playing Bridget in Overwatch than he has with the other person playing Magic to just summon the biggest creature.
Oh, yeah, it looks like Rudicron, our good friend, actually posted a link that I will bring up, the Bartle taxonomy of player types.
I guess that's what it was called.
Killers, achievers, socializers, and explorers.
Okay.
I've seen this chart before.
Yeah. I don't agree necessarily with those four, categories, but the general idea is correct.
Well, they're on an axis of do you want to act versus interact, and are
There's
you interested
also
in...
obviously people who are mixes of all the few.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's a
I
complicated
like winning, but I also like doing stuff.
But here's the stat that matters. Here's the focus of what we're going to talk about in this panel. I think this 90-10 number is going to be the most important discussion in the next few years of multiplayer gaming.
I mean, I've been having the discussion, but no one else seems to want to have it.
Yeah, but
I'm having it with myself.
I think there is literally no way to make a game that caters to a competitive community and the remaining 90% of gamers.
No, I think you got to go for one or the other and abandon the other.
I think Overwatch needs to abandon the casual players. I think Fortnite needs to abandon competitive play.
Yeah, I think a lot of these companies that they're making games, they're trying to be everything to everyone, and they all, like Hearthstone, basically just made all the esports people. They've always been angry all the time. They've always had something to complain about all the time. They keep staying for some reason or another, right? But some of them don't. A lot of them keep quitting and falling off. But Hearthstone people have always gone towards the 90 and not the 10.
But I think short of only playing games with individual people who together all agree to play a certain way, this is an intractable problem and no game can solve it.
I think it is mathematically basically impossible to make a game that just makes everyone happy and compatible.
Look at old StarCraft or Command and Conquer. When I used to play Command and Conquer online with a fucking modem, there were two kinds of people. The people who played seriously to win and the people who made you agree in advance 10 minutes no rush.
Yep.
Because they wanted to build a base first. There is literally no way for this
I always
player
wanted to
communities
make a
interact.
game for those people, which was also me. Because it's funny that in RTSs I'm that guy because
I'm bad at RTSs.
Because I'm bad. I'm not any good. So it's like, well, I can't compete, but it's still fun to build a base.
Yep.
Right? Which is sort of why the games are fun, even for the people who are really good. Because they're really good, and they build the base in the winning way. But building the base is still fun to do in the winning way.
Yep.
I'm just not good enough to do it in the winning way, but I still want to be able to have that fun of building the base So I want to play against someone who isn't going to just destroy me in 5 seconds.
So I'm going to zoom into an Overwatch example to really show how impossible this is. So in Overwatch, there's a character, Torbjorn, or Torb, the dwarf guy, and one of his main thing is he can make a turret.
Is he from Warcraft or something?
No, he's just a dude.
Oh, okay.
He's a dwarf.
I thought all the Overwatch characters are from other Blizzard shit.
No, they're from Overwatch.
Oh, I thought they were like from other Blizzard stuff.
No, they got their own universe. They got their own Overwatch universe with nonsense in it.
No, I thought it was like a Warcraft character fights a StarCraft character.
No, it's not that.
Oh.
You should really play Overwatch. You would love the hell out of it.
Or just not.
You would really, when it's free to play, you should play it.
I'll just keep playing auto chess.
So I'm starting to fade on auto chess.
Oh, they made a good patch though.
They did. That patch is night and day. Night and day. Good God. Anyway, so in Fortnite, in Overwatch,
auto chess is for competitive players.
this character's thing is they make a turret. You know, like in all those FPSs, you put a turret down, like near the flag room. All these complicated FPSs have the concept of a turret.
Yep.
It shoots on its own. So the way the game is, if you make the turret really strong, it matters more than the player who's playing the character.
Right. Well, if you think about it, right? So let's say if you're playing an FPS and you're good at aiming, right? Any sort of automatic turret that you just put somewhere.
If it's better than the best players, it will kill everyone and no one can stop it.
If it has aimbot power where it just automatically shoots at anyone and kills them, then it's too good. Everyone will just use that, and there's no point in shooting the gun you're holding.
But
right?
if you make it less good than the top 10% of players,
then the top 10% of players have no use for it because the gun they're holding and their awesome aim skills are better than this worthless turret.
But that turret is an undefeatable god to the rest of the player base.
Right. If you're bad at aiming and everyone playing the game is bad at aiming, but so you just switch to turret guy, if that turret aims better than you do and better than all the other players do, that turret is now the best player on the map and it requires no aiming skill to deploy the turret. You just push a fucking button.
So you can make that turret anywhere between better than 0% of players at aiming and better than 100% of players at aiming. And there is no place you can put it where everyone below that line will always use it and everyone above that line will never use it.
The mechanic itself is unbalanceable unless the only way to do it would be to automatically scale the skill of the turret to be in alignment with the skill of the player that deployed it.
So it gets more complicated.
Which is impossible. No one's even tried that.
Overwatch is on both PC and on consoles.
Yes.
So they did pick because there are other factors. The character can do other things than just make the turret.
Obviously, otherwise it'd be really hell boring to be that character.
Yeah, so Torb's actually really fun to play.
You just sit behind the turret and wait?
Yeah, so Torb's really fun to play and is in like the general meta of the game. And pretty much in the PC game does work, except it is like too powerful. Like if you play with silvers, Torb is an undefeatable fucking god. Like, because I'm good at aiming, so I can shoot with Torb with really good aim while simultaneously using the turret that itself is better than most other players.
It's like having an extra player on your team who's better than most of the other team, but you're also better than most of the other team.
Yep.
So that's really strong.
But console players cannot. If you have a controller, you cannot fight that turret.
Right. Most console FPSs, right, lots of games these days allow console players to play against PC players, like Rocket League or whatever, right? Because it doesn't really matter. You're using a gamepad to play Rocket League on your PC anyway, right? But for FPSs, whether they want to keep fighting this fight or not, PC keyboard and mouse is vastly superior to gamepad for FPS control. It is undebatable. Every console FPS implements lots of significant but invisible to normal people changes that make the game playable with a gamepad, because aiming with a gamepad is less precise and less good than aiming with a mouse.
Blizzard was forced. While the characters play the same, no matter what skill you are, if you're ranked like platinum or you're ranked wood tier, the characters all work the same way. It's the same game at every level. Except on the console, they had to make the turret way shittier because no console gamer could deal with that turret otherwise.
Yeah,
full stop.
There's also lots of auto aim, like not perfect auto aim, but like aim help, right? Like sort of light snapping, and there have been lots of things I've read about that different FPS games have done on the console to make the games playable. And if you were if you were somehow able to play like the console version with your mouse and keyboard, you would be a god because it's helping you so much.
So let's back away. Say Epic brought back these changes that made the game more competitive, but they added a ranking system like Overwatch does, some sort of matchmaking system. You only get matched with people who are around your same skill level. That still doesn't solve the problem because the matchmaking system has to converge, and players will, more likely than not, encounter good players at various points. Any game that has even one good player in it will devolve into that good player fucking murdering everybody. That happens in Overwatch. That happens in every game.
Yeah, one person who's... Imagine you're playing a board game. If you're playing Seven Wonders, right? With 7 people sitting around a table. If everyone else is like, la, 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 and one person's trying to win, they
will
ruin
win.
Everyone's fun.
Yep, they will win.
Yep.
And you can't, there is no way to detect that a player is good at the game or not, except with a very powerful matchmaking system, which can be circumvented by a player making a new account.
It's not even just that the player wins. It's that the way most games are constructed, it's that when someone else is playing well, right? Even if you don't care about winning, you just want to play and have fun. Right? It's just playing. Like, let's say I want to play Fortnite. I just want to build a cool base because that's the thing you can do, right?
Yep. You build a fucking... Actually, watching kids play bases is insane.
I want to explore the map and build a cool base. I don't care if someone kills me, right? Well, the way the game is made, if someone kills me, I can't explore anymore, and I can't build my cool base. They just destroyed my cool base, and I lost all my stuff. And it's like... it's like it prevents me from playing. Your play is ended or cut short. There are like Netrunner decks, Magic decks, right? Where it's like, hey, that's a deck that wins games. You know what it does? It makes you discard your entire deck, and there's nothing you can do about it. It prevents you from... it's like, I don't care if I lose this game of Netrunner. I just want to play my cards and then lose. It's like, nope, their deck is so good you lose before you can play your cards, and none of the cards you can play, not only will they not help you win, which I can accept, they won't actually do any... Every single card in your deck is now ineffective and useless. It's like there's no point in playing any of them. They do nothing. You're just shut down, right? And Magic...
Like, here's an example. Try playing Carcassonne with me or Scott or our friend Anthony.
In the earliest days of Magic, in the early 90s, there was a card called Stasis.
Yeah, Stasis, my boy.
There were Stasis decks.
I played blue decks. You know why? Because fuck you.
Let's read the text of Stasis.
Oh my God.
Right? It was like you can only untap if you like, right? You basically can't untap anything, right? I forget the exact text.
Each player skips his or her untap phase.
So you don't get to... Normally in Magic, right? If you don't know the game of Magic the Gathering, I'm sure most people do, when you use a card that's on the table, you have to tap it. That card now, once it's tapped, you can't do anything with it until it's untapped. But at the start of your turn, you get to untap pretty much everything for free. And then you can use everything again, right? So basically, you use all your stuff once per turn, or you save it on your turn, don't tap it, and use it during your opponent's turn, right? And then at the start of your turn, everything resets. If someone plays...
Oh, wow, I'm looking at all the different versions of this card because
art, I love the art on it.
Yeah, the art's really good. But at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Stasis unless you pay blue mana. Then they updated it to during your upkeep, pay blue mana or they keep changing the second sentence.
The point is, if you play Stasis, it just stays there, and nobody untaps anything. Like, no one can use their cards anymore because they don't get to untap them for free at the start of their turn. So the game just locks, and you just have to, as long as you can keep paying that blue mana to Stasis
It's just
somehow,
one. It's not cumulative update.
Right, as long as you can keep paying that one from somewhere, and of course you have a somewhere because you built your deck around this card to lock your opponent in, then... they can't untap anything, and you play, of course, when you play a Stasis deck, you play lots of cards that don't require tapping, like creatures that can attack without tapping, and spells from your hand that just do a shit ton of damage, and sources of mana that don't really need to be tapped, or other cards that let you untap things outside the untap phase. And now your opponent, no matter what the hell their deck is, it doesn't fucking matter, right? They cannot do anything because it almost certainly, unless they're playing a Stasis deck also. Their cards are... You play them, they tap them, now they're locked, and they can't untap them no matter what. There's no card in their deck that will help them. They might as well just quit immediately. They can't even play and have fun. It's not even that they will lose. They cannot play and have fun.
So to get back to the matchmaking, a matchmaking system only works if all players try hard to win so that their skill can be appropriately determined. If even one person is trying hard to win, it ruins the fun for 90% of players.
If one person is playing a Stasis deck, it ruins the fun for every opponent.
And even worse, if you have a matchmaking system and there's any sort of ranking, the scrubs, who are at least half of that community, that 90%, they will be mad that their rank is too low.
If you show them the rank.
Yep, and if you hide it from them, they will say that the ranking system is bullshit because it's putting them with the wrong players because they keep losing because they're scrubs and they suck. So
there's also the problem that at least with online play as opposed to, say, real-world play. Like in real-world play for ranking systems, let's say the tennis ranking system.
Yep.
There is a world tennis ranking system, right? The number one players are people like, Roger Federer, Serena Williams, right? Or whoever, I don't know who's number one now.
Yep.
You can look it up. If you go to your local tennis club, right, and you start playing real tennis, you get put on the same exact fucking ranking chart as those people. You can just, they'll be like, yeah, you're ranked like 1,000,000, right? Whatever it is, you're on the same chart, and the professionals are at the top of the chart. And if you keep playing tennis in your local tennis places and maybe bigger places, and you could, go to, the U.S. Open. U.S. Open is open, right? You're high enough rank, you can go, you can play.
Yep, as opposed to an invitational.
Right, if you win, it's like you'll go way up in rank. It's like a real thing, but there's no way for you to fake it. They know who the hell you are. You're right there.
If Tiger Woods shows up at the high school tournaments,
they'll be like, "You're Tiger Woods.
Yep.
You're the best golfer. We know who you are."
And this is easily solved if you're playing among friends. Like, if our group of friends is like, oh, we want to play a light game, we might all agree, okay, let's just play this game for fun. Or Rim and Scott are not allowed to play in this game right now. They recognize that Rim and Scott are coming to the table.
If you're playing an esport in the esports league, they know who you are. Oh, it's Overwatch League. I see you sitting right there in this LAN party, right?
That's why if a professional player gets caught smurfing, they get in trouble.
But for free online play, smurfing is a serious problem. If you're good, but now your matchmaking is putting you against people who are also good, and you're not winning so much, but you care about rank and you care about winning because you're the kind of player who cares about winning. That's why you're caring, right? It's why you're up there in the high ranks. So you just make a new account, even if it costs you money. It's rank 0, and now you're playing against people who suck, and you're winning because now it's more fun for you to play and beat up and bully around people who are way less good than you because at least you win because you care about winning, right? And then when you get to high rank again, you make a new crappy account because you can't compete against people who are really strong.
Even if you're not smurfing, if there's a matchmaking system, you're honor bound to try your hardest to win. And that ruins the game. Full stop. So I think there's an even worse implication of this. If the split is 90-10, then the only money you can make by selling your game really is to cater to the 90% and make sure that 10% of competitive players won't play your game.
Or
you need to make the game such that
completely segregate them in all ways to split your player base 90-10 and make sure those 10 never interact with those 90.
Yep, which is difficult for a lot of reasons. But
I don't think it's difficult. I think people just aren't willing to implement Scott's solutions.
What Scott's solution? Overwatch is just you log into Overwatch and say I want to play.
Nope, I have a solution.
All right.
All right. Solution is if you want to play to win, right? There is no ranking on just when you click I want to play. None whatsoever. There's no rank, there's no matchmaking, there's no nothing.
Okay.
Every game is just play around, whatever.
But in that situation, I would still try to win every game I joined.
Well, here's my solution. The competitive play would be much like competitive play in the real world. Actual fucking tournament. You open up Overwatch, and it's like, all right, here's an Overwatch tournament. It costs $5. Join it.
That doesn't sound fun, though, because I want to just play Overwatch. I want to sit down after the show and just jump into a game of Overwatch. But
if you win, you get the $5 from everyone else who joined that tournament.
No, I don't want to deal with a tournament. I just want to join a game of Overwatch where I can try to win. That's all I want to do.
Well,
that's what I want to do in board games.
When I play Netrunner, it's like when you go to the local Netrunner, meetup every week, you just play a Netrunner. But then you go to the Netrunner tournament and you try to win. It's a different setting. At the tournament,
but
even though some of the players at the tournament might not be the kind who try to win and end up losing, they understand that in the tournament setting, this is for serious.
But Scott, when I was in middle school,
this is not just playing around.
When I was in middle school playing Magic, I always tried to win no matter what the context was. I'd swap decks and change stuff, but I always wanted to play to win, but I didn't want to travel to tournaments all the time. So every game I played, I just tried to win, and I won a lot.
My other idea, which is similar, is to have a mode that's like serious mode.
That's what Overwatch does. You can say quick play, or you can say competitive
serious
play.
mode has to be right? You play, you click competitive mode, but that's not. I'm talking serious mode. Like you put huge gates around it to make sure that anyone
What
who
kind
goes
of gates
in
can you use?
pay money to get in.
What, to each game?
Each game or just to get in, period. Huge fines for misbehaving in there or not trying to win or
So Scott, you know what would happen then?
Or smurfing.
All the people who are
right?
pretty good but not good enough to be like pro enough to do that, they would just play in the fun mode but also try to win in the fun mode. Because
but they're not good enough to make the people who suck upset.
Yes, they are. There's the problem. It's not a matter of them being that good. If anyone in Overwatch or in like Fortnite, even if that 10% of high skill players quit, if anyone tries hard to win, even if they're not that good, they will harm the fun of the other players.
And the final aspect of this,
you can't ban people trying hard. All you can do is reduce the impact of skill on the outcome of the game, which is what Overwatch. I keep saying Overwatch. That's what Fortnite did. They got rid of that 10%, not by doing anything prescriptive like you're talking about. They just removed the thing that made the game skill based.
Mm-hmm. And here is the final aspect of these ideas, right?
No, because I think I have a final
You have an
aspect.
even more final aspect?
Yes.
This is the final aspect I have to offer.
Final AAA final.psd.
Anyway, this is the final idea Scott has.
Okay.
If you look at Magic the Gathering,
I think we can turn this into a panel. We got a lot more to say. And
Magic
we've
the
been talking a long
Gathering
time.
has many game modes, right?
Yeah.
That's the solution that they've come up with is different modes.
Scott, Overwatch
So-
did this. They have the arcade and they have competitive mode.
Right, you got this four-headed ogre, whatever the fuck it is, giant,
Yep.
right? You got
I used to play
Commander,
Magic. I used to play
something.
the Star.
They got
We have-
Planeswalker bullshit. They got Standard. They got Legacy. They got all these Modern, all these fucking modes, right? Now, some of those modes are competitive mode. They got like cheapo mode. You don't pay a lot of money. They got so many variable ways to play the same game,
Yep.
right? So if you take my previous ideas of tournaments, pay separated pro mode, right? What I would do is I would make the game that is not competitive and unranked would not even be a competitive game. It would be like Minecraft. It would literally be like, here, if you play Fortnite in the non-pro mode, there is no killing people.
So, Scott,
you're
Overwatch-
literally just playing around.
Scott,
if you die,
Overwatch
you
does
just
this.
respawn.
Overwatch does this. So they have the quick play and the competitive, which is like the normal game mode, just like serious or not
Like there
serious.
isn't even winning and losing.
Aha. So then there's the arcade. And like in the arcade, one of the standard things in the arcade is mystery heroes. What it is what character you are is random. You can't pick. And every time you die, random character again.
But is there winning?
There is, but everyone tries hard to win because it's fun to try hard to win in that context, but no one takes it that seriously because it's fucking random characters. You might get 4 mercies. What the fuck are you going to do? You're just going to lose, and everyone has a good time because no one takes it that seriously, but trying to win does not harm the fun of the other players, even if they're not trying to win. That's a decent way to go. Like, I think there is some area to explore there.
So, I mean, part of the mode of the not winning is also handicapping, right? It's like, if you're so good, we're not going to do matchmaking to keep, right? We're just going to your aim is going to be all over the fucking place because you're so good, right? But, if you're saying, to use the Overwatch example, why not have if you're not playing Overwatch matchmaking, there's no ranking, there's no winning, there's no losing. You just run around and shoot people.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
no
fucking
one
Minecraft.
wants to play it. They want the structure of the game. Even Fortnite, they want to just run around and have fun, but they also want someone to get the chicken dinner. They still want there to be a win. They just don't care that much if they win. Here, my final thought is much more on the game industry. If this is the 90-10 split,
But if Fortnite, right? You could have a Fortnite where if you're playing, you open up Fortnite and click play, you play Fortnite. If you click play competitive, then it's the kind where when people die, then stuff spawns out of them, right? That patch is on or off based.
but then
on
it's
whether-
just 2 different games.
Yes, exactly.
But here's the problem. Those are 2 fundamentally different games.
yes,
The problem with that is that
but it takes a lot less. It's not to make those 2 different games takes a lot less resources.
No,
than
here's
to
the
make
problem.
2
Here's the
different
problem with
games.
that. I'll get to my final point. If you make a game that caters to the high skill 10%, you only make money from a professional esports system.
Yep.
If you make a game that prevents the 10% from wanting to play your game, then you make money from selling the game to the remaining 90% of people. If you make a game that's aimed at the 10%, the skill-based people, and you want to have a version of that game for the 90%, that won't work because if there's competitive Fortnite and the rest of Fortnite, the competitive Fortnite will not have a serious audience because the audience wants to see the same game they play. The Fortnite people don't watch Overwatch. They're not going to watch competitive Fortnite.
I've heard this argument before, and I don't buy it.
I don't think. Well, here's the thing.
I've heard this argument because the people, right? I've heard it from soccer people who say, look, soccer is so great. When you play soccer as little kids, you're playing the exact same soccer that adults are playing. That's why we can't add instant replay.
No, so
That's why we can't do all this stuff.
I would say all those changes.
Meanwhile, kids, right, who play basketball have lower nets, smaller courts. Kids playing Little League have T-ball, right, softball. People are playing lots of games that are pale imitations of the real game, but they have not lost any interest for the real competitive game that they will never, ever, ever play in their whole lives.
However, I would argue that the patch for Fortnite is more structurally, fundamentally changing to the meta of Fortnite, how it looks, how it acts, how it plays, than every change we've wanted from soccer combined would be to soccer.
I'm just saying, little kids playing ice hockey where they can't hit each other and they're using half the ice have not lost any interest in real fucking ice hockey.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can play baby Fortnite and get plenty of enjoyment watching big boy Fortnite.
I am pretty confident that the people who want to watch Fortnite would rather watch the casual mode, and I think
you can watch a streamer do it. You don't have to watch the esports Fortnite.
Yes.
You can watch a streamer play Fortnite casual
I'm saying Epic would make no worthwhile money even bothering engaging with that high skill 10%.
Maybe.
There is no reason to do it. If I were the product manager at Epic, I would literally just say, we don't care about the competitive scene in
Minecraft
Fortnite.
is doing fine without an esport.
Yes. All right, I think we can definitely turn this into a panel because I got more to yell about, but I'm hungry and this show's already gone on long, so we're just going to stop right here.
I want to yell more about non-gaming things that have the same problem.
I think we're going to make a PAX panel out of this.